Wednesday mornings were a familiar sight at Maple Street Grill, a local diner that served as a staple for the neighborhood. The morning rush brought together a medley of patrons. Business professionals hunched over laptops, retirees savoring their coffee, parents ushering their children through the final bites of breakfast before school. The bell above the door jingled with each new arrival, a gentle reminder that another morning was in full swing. But today, the usual bustle would be disturbed by the quiet presence of one man, Elijah Turner. And at 76, Elijah's powerful frame had softened with age, yet he carried himself with a quiet dignity that seemed to command attention. His skin was weathered, the result of years spent under the sun, and shaped by a lifetime of struggle. A slight tremor in his left hand, a souvenir from a war that most people only read about in history books, was the only hint that he wasn't just an ordinary senior citizen. A Marine Corps cap sat atop his head, its once bold emblem now faded from decades of wear, bearing the unmistakable marks of a man who had served his country proudly. Every Wednesday, without fail, Elijah entered Maple Street Grill. It was a small ritual he had followed for the past 3 years, made possible by the restaurant's 30% veterans discount, a courtesy that allowed him to enjoy a meal he could otherwise rarely afford. Living on modest government assistance, the small breakfast meant more than just food. It was a rare moment of comfort in a life that had seen its share of hardships. Always, he ordered the same meal, an egg sandwich and black coffee. Some of the staff knew him by name, others simply referred to him as the Marine who comes on Wednesdays. Elijah wasn't one for conversation, but he always expressed his gratitude with a warm, sincere smile. Today, however, things would unfold differently. A new face stood at the register, a young woman named Nikki, no older than 20, with platinum blonde hair and acrylic nails that clicked against her phone screen as she scrolled through her TikTok feed. Her eyes didn't lift from the phone as Elijah approached. She barely seemed to notice him as he reached the counter. "Good morning." Elijah greeted her softly, his deep voice warm with the same quiet respect he had always carried. "1 egg sandwich and coffee, please. I have the Veterans Discount card." He pulled out his worn Veterans Affairs ID, its corners soft from years of handling. It wasn't pristine, it was a testament to time, just as Elijah was. Nikki glanced at it, then back at Elijah, her expression skeptical. "I need a real ID, not something like this," she said, her tone loud and dismissive. "People try to fake these all the time for the discount." Elijah remained silent, his dignity intact. He reached into his shirt pocket and pulled out his dog tags, tarnished silver hanging from the chain that had left a permanent mark on his neck, a reminder of his time in Vietnam in 1969. The tags glinted softly under the restaurant's lights. Nikki glanced at the dog tags but seemed uninterested. "Anyone can buy those online now," she replied nonchalantly. Behind Elijah, the line of patrons began to murmur, their impatience growing. One man muttered, "Come on, man, some of us have jobs to get to," while another whispered, "These scammers get more creative every day." Elijah stood still, a quiet figure in a room full of moving bodies. He said nothing, simply nodding once, then returned his identification to his pocket and stepped away from the counter. No one spoke. No one met his eyes. They all continued with their meals, indifferent to the man walking out of their lives. But as the door swung shut behind Elijah, a young waiter named Marcus felt a pang of guilt rise within him. Without thinking, he pulled out his phone and dialed a number. "Uncle Dan, it's Marcus. Do you know an Elijah Turner? Marine from the Vietnam era?" The voice on the other end paused for a moment before responding. "Elijah Turner? From the 9th Marine? Of course, I know him. He pulled your father out of artillery fire at Quezon. Why?" Marcus quickly explained the situation, watching from the window as Elijah sat alone on a bench outside, his shoulders slightly slouched, dog tags resting in his hand. His head was down, staring at something only he could see in the distance. Don't let him leave, Marcus. Uncle Dan's voice crackled with controlled urgency. Actually, no. Don't interfere. Let it play out naturally. I'm 15 minutes away. Inside, life at the diner went on. Nikki was already laughing with another cashier, oblivious to the consequences of her actions. This old guy just tried to use some ancient card for the veterans discount. She chuckled, her eyes never leaving her phone. Like, get a proper ID if you want special treatment. Marcus returned to his tables, but his gaze kept shifting back to the window. He watched Elijah, who hadn't left the bench but hadn't come back inside either. The old Marine sat still, his dog tags now resting in his open palm. Sunlight glinted off the metal, catching the faded engraving of his name, service number, and blood type. Information once essential for identifying his body, should he have fallen in battle. Now, half a century later, it wasn't even enough to earn him a discounted breakfast. The breakfast rush continued. Young couples snapping pictures of their avocado toast for Instagram. Businessmen debating quarterly projections in loud voices. Children playing with their food while their mother scolded them. No one noticed the old black man sitting alone on the bench outside. No one remembered him. 4 minutes later, a powerful rumble interrupted the routine. A black military SUV with government plates pulled up in front of the diner, ignoring the no parking sign. The door opened and a man in uniform stepped out. A lieutenant colonel, tall and imposing, his military uniform adorned with ribbons from his service in Afghanistan, Iraq, and various humanitarian missions. His expression was focused, as if he had a single task to complete, and nothing would deter him. Inside, a few heads turned, eyes drawn to the unusual sight of a high-ranking officer in full uniform entering a civilian diner. The restaurant fell silent, and Marcus whispered, "Uncle Dan, it's him." The officer moved directly to the counter, bypassing the line with a quiet, respectful, "Excuse me," his presence demanding attention. He rapped his knuckles sharply on the countertop, not aggressively, but with an authority that made every patron stop and listen. "Who denied service to Elijah Turner just now?" His voice was calm, but carried an undeniable weight. Nikki blinked, confused. I don't know who you're talking about." The elderly black man with the Marine Corps cap, dog tags, veteran ID, approximately 5 minutes ago. Several patrons turned to look at Nikki, their gazes sharp and accusing. "I didn't deny him service," Nikki stammered, her confidence faltering. "I just couldn't accept that ID. It's company policy to verify." The colonel opened a leather portfolio and began spreading official documents across the counter. Combat Action Ribbon, Bronze Star with Valor, Honorable Discharge Papers, Special Commendation from the 9th Marine Regiment, and a black and white photo of a much younger Elijah, standing proudly in his uniform with his unit, Sahar. "This is the honor of a man who was disrespected here today," Colonel Rhodes said, his voice steady. "He served this country with distinction, and yet, because of assumptions based on his appearance and age, he was denied respect." Nikki's face drained of color. "I was just following procedure." The colonel interrupted her gently but firmly. "No one is questioning your adherence to procedure, but procedure never requires discourtesy or humiliation." As the silence in the room thickened, Marcus stepped outside, gently guiding Elijah back into the restaurant. The elderly Marine hesitated, his eyes still downcast, unsure of what was happening. When he saw the documents laid out before him, his confusion deepened. But when Colonel Rhodes saw Elijah, his posture instantly shifted. He stood at attention, his hand snapping into a perfect salute. "You, Sergeant Turner, it's long overdue that this town recognizes what it owes you," the colonel said, his voice filled with respect. Elijah, though surprised, returned the salute with instinctive precision. His years of service had etched the motion into his muscle memory. The door opened again, and 3 more service members entered, carrying a framed certificate. The county's Veterans Honor Roll emblem displayed prominently on it. Without a word, they mounted it on the wall, directly beneath the menu board. This establishment will now display Sergeant Elijah Turner's name, Colonel Rhodes declared to the room. From this day forward, we honor his service. One by one, the patrons rose from their seats, some unable to meet Elijah's eyes, others nodding in quiet respect. Nikki, her earlier bravado gone, stepped back from the counter, her face pale. An older woman approached Elijah with an apology. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "We should have said something. We all should have." Elijah looked at the room, taking in the sudden shift in atmosphere. His expression remained dignified. "I didn't come here for recognition," he said quietly, his voice strong despite his years. "Just breakfast and respect, one I can live without." The manager emerged, straightening his tie. "Sir, your meal is on the house today and every Wednesday from now on." Elijah shook his head. "I don't want charity, just the discount I earned." Colonel Rhodes placed a hand on Elijah's shoulder. "It's not charity to honor commitments, Sergeant. This country promised to remember your service. Today, we're simply keeping that promise." In the weeks that followed, the incident came to be known as the Wednesday Incident. Elijah's routine remained unchanged. He still came every Wednesday, still ordered the same meal, and still spoke little. But the atmosphere around him had transformed completely. Marcus, with the manager's approval, officially renamed Breakfast Combo number 3 to the Turner Special. Regular customers made a point of nodding respectfully when Elijah entered, and some veterans even sat near him, sharing quiet conversations. Nikki had been transferred to another branch across town, but before she left, she wrote Elijah a handwritten apology note. He read it once, folded it carefully, and placed it in his Bible. When Marcus asked if Elijah had forgiven her, he replied simply, "Forgiveness isn't about whether others deserve it. It's about not carrying unnecessary weight on your own journey." A month later, Elijah passed away peacefully in his sleep. His funeral, initially expected to be small, drew hundreds from the community. Many had never spoken to him, but they came to correct a collective oversight. Liked. Colonel Rhodes delivered the eulogy, reading from a handwritten page found in Elijah's apartment. "If I am remembered, let it not be for the battles I fought with weapons, but for the dignity I tried to maintain when the war came home in different forms. And if my life proves anything, let it show that sometimes being seen, truly seen, by even one person is enough to restore faith in humanity." Maple Street Grill established a veterans breakfast program, providing free meals to any former service member in need, regardless of their documentation. The staff received training on recognizing military IDs and, more importantly, on treating all customers with dignity, regardless of appearance. Marcus kept a photograph of Elijah on the staff bulletin board with a simple caption, "Before you judge someone, remember their greatest battles may have been fought long before you met them." Elijah's story didn't just survive, his honor lived on. And sometimes, that's all any soldier needs.